How's it going, everybody? My name is Ben from the Ben and Bev channel. Today we're going to be talking about Marvel's What If, Episode 5, What If?
Zombies.
Now, the premise for this week's episode is actually pretty obvious and straightforward, but I believe the timing and the delivery of the zombies into the timeline are actually what makes this episode so interesting. Hodgepodge cast of our Avengers from all over the MCU, stuck in a post-apocalyptic wasteland infested with zombies. And the interesting thing about these zombies is, while they aren't super intelligent or anything like that, they are intelligent enough to know what powers they had in their previous life and to take advantage of those powers now. The zombies of Doctor Strange and Iron Man know how to use their suits and magic respectively. So keep that in mind with all of the Avengers that have been turned into zombies.
Not a good time.
The place in the timeline that this alternate branch is taking place in is at the beginning of Avengers Infinity War. After Hulk has lost his fight to Thanos, he is launched on the Rainbow Bridge and sent to the Sanctum Sanctorum by Heimdall.
In a last-ditch effort to save the universe.
When Hulk arrives, there's actually no one in the Sanctum Sanctorum, as well as no one on the streets in New York City. Banner walks out into the street, having lost his ability to turn into the Hulk. Thanos' companions arrive and announce their presence and how they're looking for the Infinity Stones. We begin to see the circles of the sling ring and an Iron Man hand pop out of them, and Banner begins to think he's being saved, only to realize
that this isn't the Iron Man and Doctor Strange that he knows.
And they begin to tear Thanos' companions limb for limb in their hunger for flesh. It's really interesting to see the way the characters use their powers in the zombie versions, because they use it really sloppily, but effectively enough that they're extremely lethal threats compared to the other zombies that are walking around. Thankfully, Banner is saved by a hodgepodge team of Avengers, including Spider-Man and the Wasp. It's really cool to see them play around with these different characters from Ant-Man in multiple episodes of What If so far, with the return of Hank Pym as a villain in Episode 3, being a really interesting twist and really bringing the Ant-Man mythology closer to the Avengers as a whole.
Where it has belonged since the beginning.
Now, going into this, I was kind of confused because they're doing Marvel zombies, but in a PG-13 animation style, which is definitely an interesting concept, as usually zombie films involve lots of gore, and while this show doesn't have graphic gore, it does still have elements of that. They did a really good job of bringing the terrifying element forward, similar to last week's episode with Doctor Strange, and how that brought a lot more adult themes forward, kind of pushed that PG-13 limit.
I mean, if they can find a way to cut off Thanos' head in Endgame,
they can find creative ways to kill a zombie. Some of the classics, like cutting bodies in half, are definitely present. Some of the other ones that are more power-centric around the characters that are using them,
really trying not to spoil stuff here,
are a really interesting way to see a zombie killed. What makes this story so interesting than your average zombie story is this cast of characters that you have with the special abilities that they have present. The presence of Spider-Man is also a really big part of the overall arc and leads into a future part of this alternate reality plotline at the end of the episode. It was interesting to see that they had a different voice actor do him, as Tom Holland was not returning. While everyone else is returning around him, including Jon Favreau is happy, I think this voice actor did a phenomenal job of replicating his tone and style of dialogue in witty banter. It really feels like it's Tom Holland's Spider-Man underneath the animation, feeling all that pain and growing through the deaths of all of his heroes and figures. It's really cool to see What If do this so far. They also did that a couple weeks back with the Black Widow character in an episode. While Scarlett Johansson did not do the voice, the person that took over did a really great job of copying her tone. This week, whoever's doing Peter Parker's voice, you're nailing it. Amazing. Hey, just a real quick thing before we get any farther. If you guys could go ahead and put a like on this video down below, it really helps us get these videos out there. Alright, let's move on.
More zombies.
And overall this week, I think all of the vocal performances were phenomenal. Definitely a lot more consistent as we're moving on here. Some of those earlier episodes, they felt a little choppy. This week's episode's very complete, with a massive cast of returning faces, including Evangeline, Lilly, Bettany, Mark Ruffalo. Amazing performance by Chadwick Boseman, as well as part of Paul Rudd. That combined with the really well-animated action sequences with some really monumental moments, including the fight with the zombified Captain America and the zombified Iron Man, things we've been getting teased since the sizzle reel of What If and that Disney investor meeting from a year ago. Episodes have just been getting better and better, with the last 3 weeks being really strong with the animation and the vocal performances consistently. I'm really excited moving forward into next week and seeing what other characters and plot twists we have. I love the whole concept for the show, and I love the places it's taking the MCU, and it makes me really excited for the whole multiverse thing that we're doing on the main storyline. What did you guys think of this week's episode? Let us know in the comments below. Also, did you guys see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings yet?
Want to check out a spoiler-free review for that? Somewhere up there's going to be a banner for it.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Ben and Bev, out.